Hey guys, Cryptoinsightuk here. I'm just going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to jump into some TA. We're going to look at ApeCoin to start with and a few other cryptos I've got trades on right now, but focusing on ApeCoin because a lot of different thought processes going through my head, and I just want to explain to you guys sort of things I think about when I make a trade. And I am actually in a trade on Ape right now, and why I'm in that and what I think the risk reward should be and could be, and my thesis for why that is as it is. Obviously, to start with, without getting into the technicals, we know that there's a new HVMTL game with Bored Ape Yacht Club. Last time we had a game which was Dookie Dash, was very different setting in the NFT environment. We had a huge rally. It was around this area. We rallied all the way up here. But right now, the NFT space is bleeding out heavily. Personally, I think we're close to a bottom because there's just absolute fear and uncertainty everywhere. Everyone's drowning. People are selling assets they're holding on to that they can't afford to lose the quote-unquote profits or value of, flushing those people out of the markets. Those people probably have their apes staked with ApeCoin, which is one of the reasons Ape is probably also, ApeCoin is probably selling off. So there's a lot of fundamentals to go behind the TA and a lot happening in the background. But then there's also demand for ApeCoin itself from the new game. I couldn't find the exact metrics for what's been spent, but I know it's quite a lot, and this game's going on for I think 14 or 15 weeks or something like that. So they're just things to take into consideration before we jump into this. Now jumping into this on a technical level, we're just looking at a standard scale right now. I'm just going to show some things that I've been looking at. If we look at this consolidation period here, some people might say that this is a bearish continuation pattern, and I actually think it's the opposite. We've got a sloping channel here, which is a reversal pattern. We also could have some sloping accumulation in terms of using Wyckoff accumulation methodology, and I'm going to show you my thought processes on this and why I think this could be. When you fall into a channel like this, and the channel is also coming down or descending, obviously sellers are in control of the market, but it can spell a reversal in the market. On a bullish pattern, if you're going to see a run up, you might see a run up like this, and then you might see boom, boom into a bull flag, break out, boom, off we go for the next leg, normally of equal length to the flagpole. If the accumulation or distribution pattern was different, like this, for example, I'm going to show you now. If it went like this, if the pattern continued in this sort of sense, then this could be often a reversal pattern. We could fall out the bottom of there and continue downwards. It's the same way with bearish continuations or reversals. Fall into an ascending channel, so let's show you like this. Boom, boom, boom. This would be an ascending channel, and then you break out the bottom of here. Boom, continue on your pattern down for the next leg. And the same with a descending channel or the opposite. Bang and bang, you find your accumulation in here. The sellers can't keep control, break out to the upside, reversal. That is what I think we could be looking at here. This channel that we're specifically in has two key support levels, 1 and 2, as you can see marked on this chart here. As I said, it is descending. The last 2 times we have touched the bottom edge of this channel, we have come all the way up either to touch the top as a resistance level or the secondary resistance level just below in there. If we were to make either of those moves now, we would be looking at either a 162% move or up to a 200% move just to stay within the channel. If I was looking to place a trade, I will probably put in one on a bit similar like this. I'm actually already in a trade, as I said. I entered my trade here because I thought we might be reversing. So I'm in at about 2.4 and I'm down a little bit on this position. But luckily I'm being balanced out by some of the positions I'm in at the minute. So you could have a tight stop loss up here and have a trade here with like 5.2 risk to reward if you were just looking for the top end of the channel, or if you wanted to go all the way, you could be looking all the way up to a 6.67 risk to reward ratio here, or even if you looked for halfway into the channel, that's still 3 to 1 risk to reward ratio there, which is what we'd be looking at in any sort of short-term trade. I'll be looking to have my stop loss lower than the bottom of the channel here, just in case we do come down and touch that, use that as support. If we look on the RSI, We are downtrend on the RSI. We could break lower here on the daily time frame. If we lose the moving average, we could come down again into the oversold area here. If we break this descending trend line, then we could start to see a rally back towards the upside. This is why I was saying we could come down and touch the bottom of the channel again, or we could play out further and reverse here. A big reversal would be on the cards, which is why I think it could be not a bad entry, because you don't want to miss this entry point trying to scalp that, potentially, or maybe you do, depending on how you want to play the market and what you think is going on in the wider space. This is obviously completely up to you. And now we're going to look at the weekly time frame. The weekly time frame looks a bit different, especially on the RSI. If we look at the weekly look, the MACD is starting to show some signs of reversal or slowing down in selling pressure, and the RSI has touched the oversold area and is looking at some point will meet the moving average, whether we push up and meet it or whether we meet it in a few weeks' time. But again, pretty obvious that when we've come down into this lower band of support, we haven't stayed in here too long, and we have every time at least reached, because we've only been down here twice, and both rallies following this have reached at least the first level of resistance, if not the second, as we saw here. So could we see in the next week or two some sort of bullish movement to take us up towards the top two areas of this band? So that's all I wanted to show you on a standard scale, and now we're looking at a logarithmic scale here. On the log scale, you can actually see we've broken out the bottom of the descending channel that I was talking about. Now this could either be a continuation for the downside with waves 1, 2, 3, 4 touching, come back up with Elliott, using Elliott wave theory, and 5 come in, set a lower low, or in my opinion we also could be forming descending accumulation, and this could be the spring phase. But again, it all depends on what happens in the next few days or weeks. If we can break back into this channel and start to push up, then things will look very different. So my eyes are really on ApeCoin right now. So if we were in a down sloping Wyckoff accumulation, this would be the sort of path that I would expect it to take. In Wyckoff accumulation, you should only really take trades that where the setup is in phases C, D, or E. It's hardest to identify the trades in phase C, but it has the highest risk to reward. In phase D, when we get the initial breakout of the trend and the back test, this could be an entry here or on the breakout as well. But obviously coming back for that back test to make sure it's not a false breakout, which is part of Wyckoff accumulation. You could actually have a false breakout there, come down, test the bottom of the channel again, and then go. That would actually be a more bullish structure if we did have a false breakout first, come down, retest, and go again. Or sometimes on E, on the confirmation of the back test and then the break of the high, but then you obviously only are getting this reward in this area here, and you've already missed this part of the move. So it's still obviously very hard to take the trade on Wyckoff accumulation, but this is how I would expect it to play out should I be right in the trade. I also, as I was talking about, could be very wrong. But again, with what's going on with the NFT ecosystem and the wider space, please be careful with this. It's a very hard one to call right now, but this is what I would be looking at if we were following some sort of Wyckoff downsloping accumulation for ApeCoin itself. I also have a trade on Solana open currently, which I think is printing an inverse head and shoulders. I got in on this green line here. I think if we get some volume and break out of this level here, we could see some significant upside. You're normally looking at the length of the head, which would obviously give us a target of this if we did break out of this level here. So that could be a very nice move for us there if we did manage to catch the hold of that. And finally, ETH, which I've talked about before. If we go into a smaller time frame on Ethereum, we were, in my opinion, in a bull flag. We've rose up into the flag. We were in this descending channel. We broke out with some decent strength here, loads of volume on it, came down, back tested the top of the channel, and have continued to push away again. And if you remember, the other day I actually did post a ETH to Bitcoin chart saying that I thought ETH might take some strength away from Bitcoin. And on the 4-hourly, it was struggling to get above the moving averages, but it's claimed 3 out of the 4. It's just waiting to claim the 200 now. And if we look at it on the daily, it's also claiming moving averages there, as far as I can remember. Yeah, it's claimed its first moving average on the daily against Bitcoin as well. That was something else that I was pointing out. And if you haven't already looked at it, have a look at my Bitcoin dominance thread to say what I think could happen. I think this will be a short retracement in the Bitcoin dominance. And then I think Bitcoin will probably continue to take some dominance, as I talked about in my thread. This was the target zone. this area here. It touched the target zone. It's now finding support on the moving averages. It could come all the way down to about 48-ish%, which is where we could see some strength in alts as long as the market holds, or we could see Bitcoin bounce here, and I think it will blast through this zone, and I have talked about that, as I said, on my thread. Have a check of that if you haven't already. I hope this gives you a bit of a understanding as to why I take some of the trades that I take, and as I said, I'm currently in trades on ETH, Solana and ApeCoin at the minute, and let's see how they play out, and I'll speak to you on the next one. If you enjoyed, please give this a retweet if you enjoy this sort of content, or if you'd rather me just post it in threads with pictures, I can do either. Just thought I'd change it up right now and see how you guys receive this information with the new Twitter rules where you can only read a certain amount of tweets. I thought I'd keep you engaged on a one tweet and not push you towards your limit. Okay, anyway, without further ado, thank you for watching. Peace up, A-Town down.